Deciding to let your hair go gray when you're still working full time, it's not an easy decision. Advocates say, yeah, go for it. No problem. It's empowering. It shows how strong you are. But as a woman in the working world, you know how hard it can be to get ahead, to stay there, and to advance in your role. Any type of potential disadvantage, like going gray, needs to be weighed up very carefully. Our guest on this edition of the Being Human podcast is Lina Rubin. Lina is a former private equity lawyer and Wall Street executive, and she's also founder of the YouTube channel Woman in Midlife, which I'm a huge fan of. And Lina, you actually inspired me to start growing in my silver hair. So thank you for that, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Amazing to hear that I could possibly inspire somebody to let their hair go gray. And your hair is looking amazing.
Oh, and it's an amazing channel. I absolutely loved watching you, and I know you've brought your wisdom and insight to so many women. So it's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about you. Where were you in your life, in your career, when you started getting that feeling like, I might want to start doing this?
Many people would say probably not at the best time because I was the most senior, at my most visible, at my highest earning potential years, and decided to do something that no one around me was doing. So at the time, I was the chief of staff to a global bank for wealth management Americas. And my boss, we were responsible for tens of thousands of people, very client facing, very facing in the industry and Wall Street and all that. I not to sound overly braggy, I'm sorry if it does, but really with like high powered Wall Street hedge fund
Yeah.
managers, private equity managers, top really high end, ultra high net worth clients. And my role was very visible. And I just decided I was going to go gray. And my biggest fear was that there was literally nobody around who was gray. Women, of course, men, plenty of them, bald and gray. And I decided to do it when I was the chief of staff. This was 2 years ago now. So I'm a little bit over 2 years dye free.
Nothing braggy about it because it's actually really important context because there are lots of women out there in high powered roles, senior roles, and they know that's going to have an impact how they're perceived and how they present themselves in a corporate environment. So, how are you feeling when you started thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to do this? I'm going to let my hair go gray.
My personal life I was totally fine with, even though I kept it a secret and didn't tell anyone because they all hate gray hair. They made it clear from years before. I actually tried to do this years before. I thought I had this bright idea probably 7 years before I actually tried it. I told a few people. They said that was disgusting, ugly. I was going to look so old. And I put that dream in the box. So when I decided to go gray, I'm very comfortable with my friends and my husband, but I decided to tell nobody. So it was a complete secret. I was growing it out, but I was only growing it out for a few months so I could hide it. And then I was going in for a transition, like a gray blending transition.
Yeah.
So I kept it to myself. And I had no worries about that, honestly. I knew they were going to hate it. Fine. They were going to love me anyway. At work, I was really very nervous because I had very high aspirations to climb the corporate ladder. I was very ambitious and motivated. And it was a fear of mine. And look, I'm going to say a couple of things that I really hate myself for saying because I want to be more empowering. And for many years, especially before my most recent role as chief of staff, you have to understand I was in the room where all decisions on compensation, hiring, firing, the behind the scenes deals, I was in that room and I saw how it really worked. And before that, I think I was a little bit more, it's a meritocracy, of course. If I'm smarter and more hardworking, which I prided myself on being the hardest worker in the room at any given time, then of course, why wouldn't they hire me? It just doesn't even make sense, but it's not how it works. So I went in full well knowing that the image and perception, and it may not be on purpose. I'm not saying anyone does these things on purpose, but it's clear in my circle anyway. I'm sure this isn't the truth anywhere, but it's clear that in my circle of in Manhattan, in New York City, in that sort of Wall Street at the senior level, looks and perception for a woman are extremely important. Judgments are made. And of course you can overcome them. Of course, if you're smart, of course, if you're creating robots and cars and flying to the moon and doing all these things, you can overcome anything. But the first perception of a woman who's gray is that she's old, maybe slow, not as motivated. Youth is really valued, I think, as an energetic and an innovative mind. I think there's that perception. And
Mhm.
more so for women, it's just the way it is. I've seen it. I've seen how we make comp decisions. I've seen how women are treated. Again, not on purpose. And I'm not bad mouthing anyone. I have 3 sons, one of them who's entering Wall Street, and I have a husband who's very senior on Wall Street. So these are maybe things that are very subtle from women as well. So to answer your
Mhm.
question, it was a really big worry.
So on the one hand, it's empowering not to have to color anymore, but on the other hand, and you've seen what happens behind the scenes, there is a cost associated with letting your hair go gray, especially if you're working in a corporate environment.
It is so weird for me to say on the internet to women, your career is going to suffer if you do something that's just so natural and wonderful and beautiful in many ways. So I'm
Mm,
struggling with that. And I just have to say, to qualify it, of course, this is not 100% of the time. I do think it depends on where you work. So put me in perspective in Manhattan in finance. And I would say it's probably an 80-20 rule. Probably 80% of what I'm saying is true, and 20% is probably not the case. And that percentage is probably different if maybe you're in Iowa doing philanthropy work, right? Maybe that's a little different than maybe this truth is a little bit more 60% anti the bad side. So it
mhm.
definitely changes and I acknowledge it. But yeah, there again, I'm struggling saying it because it's, do you know what I'm saying? It's just hard to say because I
It
can
is
already
hard
hear the hate. But yeah,
to
yes, I will say I did it. And of course, we could talk a little bit about you can overcome it. But I do think initially, not
mm,
100%, but an overwhelming majority for professional women in corporate America,
mm,
I think that having gray hair or other things as well. It could be weight, it could be looks, right? This is just doesn't just apply to gray hair. I think it's just
yeah,
the social pressures on women and looks altogether. I'm focused on gray hair because that was the first time I had to deal with it, but I'm sure women have been dealing with it in other forms as well. Yes,
yeah.
there is pressure on women to look a certain way. And I'm sure you've seen this, there are actually studies that show that women make more money the more attractive they are. They've
Mm,
done a lot of these studies. They've looked at resumes blind with names. The same exact resume, if it's got a woman's name on it, it's okay. If it's got a man's name on it, the blind study shows, oh, that's a great resume. So these things are in our subconscious and they're
mm.
happening.
Yeah, and the perception out there, unfortunately, is that gray hair is associated with being older and on the tail end of life and career. I love the fact that you're so honest about all of this because I recently decided after watching your videos to start letting my gray hair come in. And I'm 56, very open about my age.
Beautiful.
Um, and
Beautiful.
and so are you. And I never would have done this when I was on air at CNBC or in Canada at BNN or when I was working in my home province in broadcasting. I never would have done it. And what you were just describing, it's interesting because it is difficult to describe because it's almost
Not nice.
intuition,
It's not nice
right?
to say because we're smart.
Yeah.
Like it's 2026. People should look at us right. So just to go and tell other women
Yeah.
that we have this obstacle, it's like ugly.
But it's also lovely that you're doing this because women work so hard to be taken seriously in a corporate environment. And there is a little bit of and everyone works hard. I have counseling clients who are both men and women, and everyone's really working hard, but there is a bias against women, and it's been well documented and well researched. So the fact that you're putting it out there and we're recognizing when so much of the content is, yeah, raw, like female empowerment, just do it. And it's wonderful and it's great. Okay, but let's be real,
Yeah.
there can be a cost associated with it.
Yeah.
So this is great to hear you addressing it.
And I thought about it a lot for myself as well. because there are both sides, and it depends on which day you catch. And I really have to get the truth out, really focus, because it's so easy, especially when you're like talking to other women, to get swept away in the good things. And there's so many, and we'll talk about them. And I'm blessed for those good things, but it's an important conversation that it's difficult. And I'll also acknowledge that there's so many women that are so much braver. I was in a very privileged position. By the time I made the decision, I had reached a certain level, I was making a certain amount of money. I did have aspirations at the time. It's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to stop working. But I had a senior role, which made it harder because I was visible, but also I had a lot of support, and I did
Mm.
accomplish things. And I did have the money to go and do great blending and focus on all the other things. I ran and got my Invisalign. I focused on my clothes, and I did do those things, which is not available to everybody. But I felt like
Mm.
I needed to. And I also don't, people say, oh, you were so brave. I also, this is going to sound a little strange, but I'm a very spiritual person. And around the time that this was happening, it wasn't just the gray hair. I was like in this life transition. I don't want to call it a midlife crisis, but something in my soul was saying I just had to be myself. And when people would say, I want to be my authentic self, like that never made sense to me. Of course, like who else are you? But something was happening around. I didn't
Yeah.
want to pretend anymore that I wanted to have my hair this way. I didn't want to pretend in corporate America. I didn't want to climb that corporate ladder. Like I wanted, yes, I had goals I wanted to achieve, but I also got tired of the game that I was playing in corporate America. You got to kiss ass. You got to do things the right way. You got to say
Mm.
things that are proper and appropriate in order for you to keep your position, to keep your
Mm.
salary, to get yourself promoted. And I was playing that game, and I became
Yeah.
so disgusted I couldn't play that game anymore. So in some ways, when women see, yes, a senior woman did this, you have to remember my soul at that point, I didn't know it, but my soul at that point was already telling me, you're going to leave because you just can't do it anymore. It all collided for me at the same time.
Ah.
So I just say that in that, yes, I did it, but I had an inkling that, not consciously, but it all
Yeah.
happened around the same time where my soul was saying I wanted to do other things. I wanted to have a conversation with women about aging and starting my own YouTube channel.
Ah.
So it's, if I was a single mother working paycheck to paycheck and I absolutely needed this because three young mouths were relying on me, would I have been so bold? Maybe not.
So the duality, you were done with the duality. So the first symptom of it was, okay, I'm not coloring my hair anymore. That must have felt amazing.
It felt amazing because other things at the, and I guess a lot of women say this, if you like go to these Facebook groups, like a lot of women say that it's so empowering, and in
Yeah.
terms of other things in your life, it gives you like this confidence to actually do all of these other things. But I don't think it's the gray hair. I think it's that you come to a point in your life where like your inner self, wisdom, truth, authenticity, whatever it is, you just have to be that person. And gray hair is one of those things. I did in the beginning when I started my YouTube channel. I used to say I went gray, and now like I care less about what other people think, and I'm so much more real. And I real, but I think it was that those internal feelings that were bubbling up, and gray hair is just one symptom of that. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does. It is a part of becoming who you really are
Yeah. But I
after work.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that the conversation, because look, women have to work, right? We are living longer. If we're married, or unfortunately spouses pass away earlier, divorce rate is so high, price of things is so hard, and women do have to work, and women do need to make a living for the most part. And so this conversation around, you just need to be yourself, and you have this desire to do something, and
Mm.
maybe you can't at work, and it's wrong and it's unfair, and so what do we do about it? My hope and my genuine belief is the more that women like you and I show up and do this, it will, of course, just become a thing. Like gray hair is not going to be associated with old and outdated and slow. You and I are going to show that you can be sharp, beautiful, and witty, and energetic and youthful with gray hair. It takes a little bit of time. But I
Yeah.
also, I'm sure we'll get to it. I also do want to talk about, yes, it's hard and there is stigma, but there's another part to it, right? First of all, there may not be where you are in your position, right? It's not everywhere. In some places, it's totally fine. And some people think it's cool. I don't think in my environment it was the majority, but you may be there. But if you're not, and you do it, and you do it in a way where you're strong and you believe in yourself and you show that, I think everyone around you will acknowledge and realize that was a hard thing she did. And look how badass she is. And there is an opportunity to show people actually, she's bolder than I ever thought. That I think men realize what a big deal hair is for women. And so while their initial instinct may be that discriminatory aspect of it, I think when you show up in a certain way, you look stronger than anything I could have done in corporate America. I was in a role where I was had to be very tough, and I would negotiate, and I would work with very senior people. So I had to be very serious and very a tough personality. And I did have that reputation, but I think people started seeing me as maybe more tough when I held my head up high, and I was in that transition, and I was doing it, and I wasn't flinching. Now my heart was breaking on the inside, and I was so self-conscious, but I didn't let that show. And I do think that's another opportunity to show how bold you are.
Badass. That was badass move
Yeah.
to go in and do it. Like really being tough and really not caring what people think. Okay, Lena, so tell us when you did the gray transition and you weren't hiding it anymore and you walked into the office, what happened?
I at the beginning for 2 months you have to grow it out, because in gray blending they have to match your grow out, and then they strip and dye this. So wherever it's white, wherever it's black. So I was growing it out for 2 months, and I definitely got a lot of stares then, because I was like on a regimented, you got to look perfect when you
Yeah.
show up in the office. I got a lot of stares, but I when I showed up with the gray hair, I definitely got a lot of stares. And here's how I know it made people feel uncomfortable. I'll give you just one example. I had a boss that I was very close with. I worked with him for many years. We were super close, shared a lot of things. And this is going to sound inappropriate, and it wasn't totally. He would always comment on things like, "Oh, I like your outfit. I like your shoes. I like your bag." Like he was into fashion. He would always notice anything I would buy or wear. Oh, you know how like when you color your hair, when your hair is growing in, it changes. Like sometimes it looks a little lighter, a little darker, but that's because your color is changing underneath. So sometimes my hair would look lighter or darker. Oh, you colored your hair lighter. It looks great. Or, oh, your hair's darker. It looks nice. Always like complimenting me on something. And when I walked in with gray hair, like just gray hair, he said, not, I super happy with it. The compliments made me feel uncomfortable. I didn't need them. But that like stare, but an inability to say anything that tells you something. I was happy because I didn't want to have the conversation. But for people who are always commenting on people's looks, again, I know it sounds terrible, but you know those types of people who are always like, "Oh, nice jacket," or "No, notice something new." And I did get a lot of that from people that, as you could tell, I'm an open book. And so I had a lot of close friends, I guess they're really acquaintances at work. And so we're open and we share. And so many of them just couldn't say a thing. I think it made them feel very uncomfortable.
Oh boy.
And then there was another group where like I would be in the meeting and I would see stares, like awkward stares, where in the hallway you would notice people are staring. I don't know, maybe that's in my head, but that is how I felt. And again, there really were no women with gray hair. Now this is 2 years ago, a little more, so I'm sure things are changing because I do think it's becoming more prevalent. But at the time, there really wasn't. There really wasn't.
And Lena, was it only at first when they were getting used to how you look different because now you had gray hair? Was that the initial barrier, or then later did you feel like there were other repercussions?
So I can't answer that with full honesty, because it happened to have coincided with we had a big reorg, it was a big bank, and I had decided it was the perfect time for me to leave. I did look internally for a few opportunities. All right, you're somewhere for 20 years and you have such a senior position. I didn't just close up shop and go home. I did like ease into it. So during that time that I was gray, I did apply for one or two other roles within the firm that I didn't get. I don't know if I didn't get it because I had gray hair or because
Mhm.
it was time. Like I knew that I didn't have the energy to say the things and do the things that you need to at a senior level to be successful in corporate America. So I can't say because I
Yeah.
didn't really give it a go to
Yeah.
lead 15,000 people with gray hair and have that opportunity to see how they would react.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because you were starting an inner transition as well as an outer transition and shifting from your professional role that you'd done for 20 years. It was high stress. That was the natural next step in your journey. That was coming anyway, it sounds like.
It was all bubbling it. I could put words to it now. I couldn't put words to it before.
So things start shifting inside. So when you decide to go gray, be warned that things are shifting inside. You may not be consciously processing it all, but there's stuff going on underneath the surface.
Yeah. And so in my private circle at home, and when I say this, the people who watch my YouTube videos, they're all like so protective. They're like, "You have a terrible family," but I don't have to. I have wonderful family and wonderful friends. But in my circle, gray hair is just not a thing. Like they all have these images of our grandmothers. And actually,
Yeah.
most of our grandmothers in their 80s were still coloring their hair. Like just from the community where we are, it's just, you have to, I don't know how to describe it, like the European kind of fashion group of people around me. They all hated it, like just hated it. My mother, who is just the most amazing human being on the planet, my sister, who's my dearest best friend, they all hated it. And they kept telling me it was awful. I was making this big mistake. My father in law, this is hideous. My husband didn't dare go that bad, but he made it
Newsletter.
pretty clear. Are you sure? Like, why? Like, he didn't like it. Like, he didn't. And he was very worried. But I just kept doing it anyway. And at that point, it became wait, we in the back of our head know that it's difficult for women. Again, I don't want to get on this podcast and be a victim because we obviously are in so much control of everything. And this whole they discriminate against us, they don't give us opportunities if we give gray hair is a small piece. It's not who I am. That's not how I live my life. It's just something you
Mhm.
have to keep in the back of your mind, but not let it rule you. And so you know that's a possibility that our looks are more important, but you think it's probably not the case because it's just irrational. But when this happened in my circle and people loved me and were very close, and I'm an open book, and so they're an open book with me, and everyone would verbally say, "No, color your hair. This is awful." Then it became like, oh no, maybe that I was just playing around with the idea, but now that the whole world is saying color it, now I'm not going to color it just for a purpose. Like it cannot be that you're going to tell me of all my achievements, law school, college, graduating with honors, achieving all this at work. People are going to tell me I have to color my hair. Really, I am my hair. And then it became like this stubborn thing. Then I became out to prove something to the world. I didn't start out that way. I just started out like with an itchy scalp and I just couldn't keep up with the dye. And but people made such a big deal about it. I was like, oh no, this is happening. And so there was that awkward transition. That transition lasted for a long time, even though I spent a ton of money on the gray blending and I did it multiple times for my hair to get healthy again and come into its own. It took a while. But I will tell you, I am starting to get a lot of positive feedback and compliments now.
Yeah.
Some women go gray and they on the internet they say that they had all these compliments and I didn't have that experience at the beginning, so I don't know. Again, I guess every circle is different, but now I definitely get compliments. And now I feel, again, I want to be honest, I was about to say, and this is true, I do feel in a room. I was at a dinner birthday dinner this weekend and my friends were all very high fashion. I'm a little simpler than them now. I was a little more high fashion before. And I was looking around the room and I felt so unique. Like I'm the only one who looked like that. And I actually had this moment of pride at that moment because they all have similar hair. Again, I'm not saying anything bad about it. Of course, it's beautiful. They've got the same like blonde highlights. And I thought, wow, like I stand out. Like I look good. Now that was a good moment. And the reason I want to be honest is because I have just as many times when I'm not at my best
Yeah.
and I'm with my friends and I see a picture, I'm like, yeah, I look older than everyone else. And I don't feel great about it. So Depends.
I'm hearing so much strength of character when you're discussing this, just strength of character and self-trust, which is something that we not everyone has or is something that we're all working on developing. But do you when you look back on the journey, do you feel a sense of, "Yeah, I did that."
So it's interesting to say self trust, and I know people have said it's confident, and I understand how it comes out that way. But it's bizarre for me to hear. My entire life, and only my close inner circle knows, my husband, mom, my sister, I have struggled with confidence issues and self doubt. So this has been something that I've been working on. I always say I'm a self-help guru because like I need so much of that because I didn't actually have that confidence and needed a lot of approval. And that is an absolute fact, and I'm still working on it. And yet at the same time, I did this thing which I could admit is really strong and powerful, especially in the circumstance in which I did with friends not gray and at work in that situation. So looking back, I just say, oh my gosh, I could probably do anything. But I guess the message there is you don't actually have to be a strong, confident person to do it because it looks like I am, but I wouldn't say I actually am. I
Mm,
want to be, I work on it.
I think you are. I'm
Because a
gonna
lot of
go with
people
you.
say,
Absolutely are.
a lot of, I guess there's some truth to that because a lot of people say, oh, I could never do that. I'm not that confident. But I think like what I always feel inside is, but I didn't think I was that confident either. Again, maybe all the self-help finally kicked in and worked. I don't know. I've done a lot of self-help, so
I think for all of us, the confidence sort of ebbs and flows depending on what's going on in our lives. Lena, any advice you have for women who might be watching this and they're considering it? I'm 2 months in. This is a hard stage. Maybe they're in that those beginning stages. What's your advice to them if they're thinking about going gray and they're out there in the working world doing their best to get ahead?
I think that life is too short to blend in and do something that we really don't want to do. I am not a gray hair advocate, but if it is something that you want to do, you have to know that it is very hard and all the things that we talked about. And you just got to acknowledge it and know it and put it aside. Because the strength and the beauty of actually just showing up how you want to, I don't want to lecture, I'm sure you know this. It is really like a freeing and an empowering thing. And I thought of my hair. Maybe this is actually, I didn't think about it until now, but I had said I've been working on my confidence my entire life. Like Tony Robbins, self help, every book, every, you name it, I followed
Mhm.
it to get my confidence up. Every time I did something for my confidence, is really like from an external thing, right? That made me feel good, a degree, a promotion, or whatever. And there was so much self reflection with the hair, it actually really did make me so much more secure. Even though I'll tell you, sometimes I look at a picture and I'm like, my friends look so good and I look old. But when you colored your hair, did you not have days where you're like, oh, I'm fat, which obviously you're not, or oh my God, I look terrible? That's just us as women. And so when you break through all of that, when you go through the journey of just allowing something that you really feel inside to come out. And if you don't want to be gray, then that's just not a thing for you. Then you color and you look beautiful. But if it is something that you really want to do, like that was for me, you really do come out strong and secure and more confident. So it's just hard. You just got to get through that period. But your inner soul is telling you, every woman who's doing those searches, the universe and your inner self is telling you what's appropriate for you now. And maybe it's hair, but maybe like for me, it's something much bigger. It's just about finally needing to express yourself and not playing small and like pretending to be something I'm not to fit in.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
really just so beautiful because in my entire life, everything I've ever done was to look pretty, to fit in, to just be part of what society told me and that standard.
Yeah.
And it paid off because you look nice and you get a payoff, right? And that feels good. But that payoff comes at such a cost. That cost around you're actually not working on your confidence. It's actually smacking down your confidence and your subconscious
Mm.
because your soul knows that's not true. You're getting a positive reaction because you're doing something, but you aren't true to yourself. It's a long answer, but and it sounds so cliche and cheesy. Go gray and you'll finally be yourself. It's not that. There is just such beauty in living life the way your soul tells you want to. I know it's just goddamn hair, but my soul told me I just couldn't do that anymore. And it did come with other things. That's my advice.
It's a
Hang in there.
beautiful answer. A beautiful answer. And your hair is beautiful. And it's about intuition, isn't it? I love what you're saying because it's about intuition and that little feeling that you want to make a change. And it might be your hair, but it might also be a marriage, or it might be a job, or it might be a city that you're not feeling 100% comfortable in. So, no, that's wonderful advice. I love it. Thank you.
And just like back on the vanity thing, my hair wasn't curly for many years because it was so damaged from the dye. And it's only like now just coming back. Yeah, it's a little frizzy but like my hair would not curl like this so it's like literally just getting healthy
It's
again now. My
healthy.
scalp, my hair, like my hairline here. I have pictures where I was literally like just getting like a receding hairline. And sometimes I'm like, I want my bigger forehead back. I know that sounds crazy, but the healthy hair is beginning to feel good.
It's
And that's the
going
time.
on.
So when you're going through this transition and you're not feeling pretty, and this takes years, like this is over 2 years, right? So it does come back, I feel like, just because you're not putting all those chemicals on your hair. And I'm not knocking chemicals because I do so many other non-natural things. Or it did. Like these are natural curls. I didn't do anything. I washed my hair today and it just naturally happened. And that's because my hair is now healthy and like it's being repaired. It was so damaged from the dye. Would never have done this before.
Yeah, it's looking beautiful and you are beautiful. And thank you so much for your YouTube channel, first of all, because it was so lovely to hear someone speaking honestly about the professional implications of going gray. And I don't think there's enough information out there for women in the corporate world on what might happen. What are the reactions going to be? So thank you for your vulnerability and for your honesty and your wisdom.
Awesome. And let's go out there and make that change because we shouldn't have to feel that way at work. And I think it's changing and I think it's changing fast. So even if you are a woman in corporate America, I know it's easy to say, but just show up and get respect in other ways because we've always had problems and issues that we have to overcome. And this is just another one of them. And every time we have to, we rise to the challenge. So just rise to the challenge of this one at work.
Lina, thank you.
You're beautiful. Good luck. Keep me posted on your journey. Thank you so much.
Our guest today on the Being Human podcast has been Lina Rubin, and she's been joining us today from Manhattan.